How's it going, guys? This is Luke from Coffee House, and today we're doing a bit of a holiday episode. We, in the Christmas spirit, are going to be jumping into something that we traditionally won't end up jumping into, but here we are. We actually have in here a unmarked holiday flavored coffee. What I wanted to do was to kind of open this and explore flavored coffee with you guys as a concept and discuss a little bit how that coffee developed and kind of why people buy it, but also, in my opinion, why you should maybe stray away from it and things like that. I think it's really important to have this discussion and talk both on the pros and cons of this issue, because I think it's a very, very diverse market. There's people who really love flavored coffee, and there's people who would absolutely never try it. So today we are going to try it. This brand specifically that we purchased, obviously we're not going to throw shade or anything like that, so we put it in one of our bags and we're going to jump into it, and we're going to obviously brew it on the Mocha Master. We're going to taste it, and we're going to explore kind of like the beans, the actual quality of the coffee itself. But yeah, without further ado, let's jump into the actual bag. So having poured out the coffee here, the first thing I want to talk about is the sheen on the coffee, the kind of oily nature of the beans here. So when you see this is really reminiscent of a flavored coffee, because how they're flavoring these coffees is they're blending them with oils, oils that actually have the essence of that flavor in which you purchase. For example, this one smells like eggnog because it is an eggnog flavored coffee. Yeah, the beans right off the bat are very shiny, very just overall glossy. They have this nice kind of sheen on them, something like you would see in a really dark roasted coffee, but this one is more of like a medium dark, or a medium, you could call it. The bag that they sold indicated that this was a medium roast. I'm curious what their dark roast looked like. The thing about this is I am very hesitant to even put my hands on this coffee, because that oil will actually rub off on your hands, on your clothes, on your coffee grinder, on your brewer, on the inside of the pot. Everything that you touch, or everything that this coffee touches, will smell like whatever the oil is on it. So you want to be really careful with this. I can only imagine what a eggnog coffee flavor aficionado's house smells like. But that being said, next I want to jump into the actual beans, the actual quality of the coffee itself. So jumping into the actual beans themselves, aside from the oils on the coffee, we do want to talk a little bit about the coffee here. And one thing I really want to discuss is the consistency of the beans here and where I believe that the actual origin of this coffee is from. Just judging, even in here, I don't want to dig in here with my hands, but you can see in here, there are so many defects. So looking into this coffee a little bit more, you really want to look at these actual beans themselves too, because obviously flavored coffee can hide a lot of things. And what I'm doing here is I'm actually pulling out defects of the coffee. Beans that have fungus on them, beans that are poorly sorted, beans that are broken. All of these things play part in a lower quality, poorly sorted, lower cost coffee. And this is one of the worst ones I've ever seen. This is just a, maybe 100-gram batch, and I've pulled out, you can see what I'm pulling out so far. All of these little Quakers, all of the underdeveloped beans. My hands smell like eggnog. It's really something else that something like this can even get out to the consumer at the price that they're paying. I think this was $20 for the bag. So if you start to look, and you start to nitpick a little bit about what you want your coffee to look like when you brew it, this, for a value of money, like, look at all of the coffee that you're not getting to have if you want to nitpick like that. But overall, what I'm getting at is this seems like it's a very low cost, poorly sorted, large batch Brazilian coffee that probably cost this producer probably about $1.50 to $1 per pound at the farm level. Obviously, when you're a company like this, coffee quality doesn't matter as much when you're adding all of these flavors that will mask everything. However, I think when you're charging $20 for the actual 12 ounces of coffee, there should be some level of quality that you're actually, that you're actually proposing to your people, especially as we looked at this company. People, they were talking about like specialty roasted, small batch, all of those things, but clearly that's not the case in terms of quality of green coffee. Similar to a lot of specialty or a lot of flavored coffee roasters, they're going to shoot kind of for that lower bean quality because they can mask it, they can get away with something like that. And so if you're on this channel, if you're watching this video to be informed about what you can spend your $20 on in terms of good coffee, these flavored coffees will really leave you wanting more, because just without brewing this coffee, I will taste a bit of nothingness. I know when you brew coffee, like flavored coffee, it has like this really pleasant aroma, but the actual taste is going to be leaving a lot to be desired. And just judging from the quality of this coffee right now, I'm really not going to get much of anything. But obviously, it would be a disservice to the roaster and the company to not try the coffee in its intended form. So what we will be doing is, the oil. What we will be doing is trying this coffee in here in its truest form. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to jump in, I'm going to weigh this out at about 40 grams. I put 600 grams of water in here, so 1:15 ratio standard, through our grinder, which unfortunately is going to smell like eggnog for the next couple weeks, and we're going to brew it and taste it. If you've seen any of our previous videos, you've noted, you've probably heard us complain about how messy the fellow Ode grinder is, and we ended up sacrificing the Ode to grind this flavored coffee. But what's really interesting is that obviously there's no mess here, and that's because the oils of the coffee really weighed down all of that chaff, and it didn't even allow it to kind of like create static in the first place. All of it is neatly placed in here, so maybe the fellow Ode is perfect for the flavored coffees that we produce. On the nose here, it is, there's still that eggnog, oil, artificial kind of smell to it. But there's a coffee aroma now that it's ground. I have no indication of when this coffee was roasted, or, even if it was roasted this year. It smells like coffee, so that's a start. But what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna pour this into here, and we're gonna get going. This is 40 grams of eggnog flavored holiday coffee put into 600 grams of our filtered water at the office, and I'm gonna hit the Mocha Master and let it do its thing for consistency's sake. So as we finish up here, as excited as I am to try this, this isn't stalling, I'm just talking. I think there's two different kinds of companies that use the terms holiday blend when they craft a blend for coffee for the holidays. And those are specialty roasters and kind of the roasters who will jump into the flavored coffee market. Obviously there's a big market for this, but when you see specialty roasters using the words holiday blend, they're blending coffees that carry kind of a natural reminiscence to different things like cinnamon, star anise, and things like that, where flavored coffees obviously have a lot more leeway with the term, as they can just add flavor to their coffees. We're gonna jump in now to what that kind of does to a coffee and what it also masks and hides. So we're ready here. What I'm gonna do is pour this out into our little coffee house mug, and we are going to taste. So sitting here, I have a warm cup of eggnog flavored holiday coffee. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna jump in, give this a bit of a taste and tell you guys what I'm thinking. But right off the nose, there's a little bit of that eggnog, but this is something that happens often with flavored coffees, is in the bag, you're like blown away by this really, really strong aroma of whatever that oil is that they used on the coffee. But as the coffee is blended, and then after it is actually, taken through this, you're gonna lose a lot of those oils, and a lot of those oils are actually gonna be masked by the actual coffee itself. That being said, a lot of coffee roasters will choose more of these lower quality coffees so they don't really conflict with the flavors as much. So So it's what I expected for the for flavored coffee. It's, you know, there's a lot of hype, there's a lot of bark up front with that flavor, and there's really no bite in the cup. The oils seem to have disappeared. You can get them on the aroma, but when you taste them, you're not really going to taste those oils like when you use a flavored coffee creamer or just like coffee syrups. And so this one, you know, it smells really inviting, but the taste is strictly that unsorted $1 a pound Brazilian coffee that we spoke about earlier. The coffee itself is overly bitter, is lacking any sense of origin, and almost has kind of this acrid, a bit of fungal taste to it. You know, I mean, obviously the people who are going to be drinking this coffee are most likely going to be adding some extra things, maybe some sugar, maybe some creamer, maybe some milk, which will help, you know, take away more of the coffee flavor in this case. That being said, there's a really simple solution to all of this that allows you to not buy bad coffee, but still enjoy good flavors that you want, you know, and especially enjoy those holiday flavors. And it's simple. I mean, all you have to do is make a syrup at home. So syrups are very, very low cost, and it's a great way to actually spruce up a nice, sweet, holiday-focused cup of coffee. Something like this, not so much. You're gonna get a lot of promise with not many results in the actual palate of the coffee. The coffee is very low quality, low grown. When compared to, if you're looking to spend that $20, I would recommend spending it on a better cup of coffee in which you could obviously jazz up with syrups and stuff like that if you were still, you know, wanting to get into the holiday mood. But that being said, something like this, at this point, you know, the aromas are almost entirely gone, and you're just left with kind of this bitter, darky, like weird kind of cup of coffee that really is not pleasant to either the flavored coffee people or the specialty coffee people. So guys, I hope you learned a thing or two about flavored coffee, and I hope that I was able to kind of demonstrate our stance on where we fall in kind of the flavored coffee world. I obviously want to answer any questions that I haven't answered in this video, so please comment those below, and I would be happy to address any of those. But that being said, I thank you guys for tuning in, and happy holidays.